The asteroid field of Xylar 7 was a graveyard. Twisted metal, broken satellites, and pieces of forgotten ships drifted slowly in the void, illuminated only by the cold light of a distant star. Among the debris, one ship stood out. It was massive, easily 3 times the size of a human cruiser, but broken and worn. The hull was scorched, the edges jagged from countless collisions with asteroids, and the engines had long since gone cold. To most, it was just another forgotten relic of a galaxy that never stopped moving. But to Elias Kane, it was different. He had seen broken ships before, but none like this. There was a story in its design, a complexity that whispered of technology beyond any human or even alien imagination. Elias adjusted the visor of his helmet and stared at the massive silhouette. This could be something incredible, he whispered. Elias was a human mechanic, but not an ordinary one. In a galaxy of high-tech engineers and robotic repair crews, he was known for fixing things that others gave up on. Crashed shuttles, failed engines, alien weapons, all of it had come across his bench at one time or another. And more often than not, he didn't just fix them, he improved them. That had earned him a reputation, but also a lot of skepticism. Many species didn't trust humans to handle alien technology. Humans were young in galactic history, their species barely a few thousand years in space. But Elias believed in humans. He believed in ingenuity, and he believed in second chances for things that others discarded. The derelict cruiser was currently up for auction. Not that anyone cared. Rumors said it was abandoned centuries ago, that it was beyond repair, and no alien or human had dared bid on it. Most assumed it was just scrap. The auction was live across the galaxy, broadcast to the wealthiest corporations and the most powerful alien fleets. And yet, when the bidding closed, no one had made an offer. Not one. Elias leaned back in his chair aboard his modest ship, the Starforge, and cracked a smile. Perfect, he muttered. No competition meant he could claim the cruiser without fighting. No flashy galactic politics, no endless bidding wars, just him, his crew, and the mystery waiting in that abandoned hull. He activated the communications link to his crew. Set a course for Xylar 7, prep the tow lines, we're taking her home. His crew, a small but loyal team of humans, looked at him with a mixture of excitement and disbelief. Myra, the ship's engineer, raised an eyebrow. Are you serious? That thing looks like it's been dead longer than my grandmother's old shuttle. And that's exactly why it's valuable, Elias replied. Others see junk, I see potential. Bring your best tools, we're going to wake her up. The journey to Xylar 7 was long but quiet. Elias spent the time reviewing the old blueprints he had found in scattered data files from the auction archives. Every alien cruiser had a signature design, a pattern to its systems. This one didn't match anything in the records. It was like the aliens had been experimenting. Parts of the ship seemed alive, as if the machinery itself had its own intelligence. Elias couldn't wait to see it up close. When the Starforge arrived, the sight of the cruiser was even more imposing. Its hull stretched across the viewports, casting a shadow over the asteroid field. Broken solar panels fluttered like wings, and entire sections of the ship had been crushed by meteor impacts. Small debris floated around it like sparks from a fire. Elias felt a thrill run through him. "Hook her up," he said calmly, though his heart raced. The crew worked quickly, sending out magnetic tow cables and carefully latching them onto the cruiser's frame. Every connection had to be precise. A wrong move could tear the ship apart. As the last cable clicked into place, Elias exhaled. "Steady, we don't want to break her before we even start." Slowly, gently, the Starforge began towing the massive cruiser. For hours, they navigated the treacherous asteroid field, avoiding collisions and adjusting thrusters to compensate for gravitational pulls. Elias stood at the front of his ship, watching the cruiser sway behind them. The silence of space was only broken by the soft hum of engines and the occasional crackle of the tow cables. As night fell on the distant star, Elias could feel the weight of what he had undertaken. The cruiser was not just a ship, it was a challenge. And humans loved challenges. Once they were safely away from the asteroid field, Elias ordered the cruiser brought into the human space yard orbiting Nova Prime. It was a small station, known mostly for repairing commercial and exploratory ships, but it had one advantage: freedom. Here, no alien council could dictate what humans could or could not repair. Here, Elias could work without interference. Docking the cruiser was a delicate operation. The Starforge was tiny in comparison, yet the massive alien vessel seemed to sense its new companion. As it slid into the docking bay, a low hum vibrated through the floor. Elia's brow furrowed. "Did you hear that?" Myra shook her head. "Hear what? It's dead, remember." "No," Elias said, stepping closer to the hull. "It's like it's watching us." For a long moment, no one spoke. Then slowly, the lights in the docking bay flickered. Panels on the cruiser's hull glowed faintly, revealing alien markings that shifted as if alive. Myra gasped. That's not supposed to happen. It's alive," Elias finished. His voice was calm, but inside, his mind raced with possibilities. This wasn't just a broken ship. This was something more. Something that had waited for the right hands to bring it back. Over the next few hours, Elias and his crew carefully entered the cruiser. The airlock hissed open, and the interior smelled of ozone and metal dust. The corridors were vast, larger than any human ship, lined with panels that pulsed faintly. Some doors refused to open, locked by systems that hadn't seen life in centuries. Yet everywhere Elias looked, he saw potential. Every damaged console, every broken pipe, every torn cable was a puzzle waiting to be solved. "This is going to take weeks," Myra muttered, examining a shattered control panel. "Months, maybe," Elias said, smiling. "But think about what we'll have when we're done. This ship, she can be more than anyone imagined." As they worked, Elias noticed something remarkable. The ship seemed to respond to their presence. When he touched certain panels, the lights blinked in patterns. When Myra adjusted the coolant conduits, the hum of the engines shifted slightly, almost approvingly. It was subtle but unmistakable. The ship was alive in its own way, waiting for a mind capable of understanding it. By the time Part 1 draws to a close, the cruiser was secured, and the first preliminary scans had begun. Elias looked out from the bridge of the Starforge, watching his new prize floating in the human space yard. The stars reflected in his eyes, filled with determination. No one else believed this ship could be saved. The galaxy had abandoned it. But humans, especially Elias Kane, had a different approach. Humans didn't just repair, they improved. And this ship, forgotten and broken, was about to see the best of human ingenuity. The adventure had only just begun. The cruiser rested in the human space yard like a sleeping giant. Its hull reflected the lights of the station, massive panels gleaming faintly, almost as if acknowledging its new owners. Elias Kane stood at the edge of the docking bay, staring at the enormous vessel. He could feel the energy, a subtle vibration under the metal floor, like the heartbeat of something alive. "This is bigger than anything we've worked on," Myra said, her eyes wide as she examined the alien hull. "I've repaired old ships before, Elias, but nothing like this. Some of these systems, I don't even know what they are." "That's the point," Elias replied, his voice calm but his mind racing with possibilities. "No one else understands her. No one else can bring her back. That's why it's ours to fix." Elias had already assembled a small team of humans who specialized in alien technology. Jerk, the electronics expert, scanned consoles for data signatures. Lena, a structural engineer, inspected the hull for weak points. Myra handled the mechanical systems. Each of them had one goal: awaken the cruiser. They began with the bridge, the heart of the ship. The doors were enormous, covered in alien markings that shifted as they moved. Elias placed his hand on a console near the entrance. The markings glowed faintly under his fingers. "It's responding to touch," he whispered. Myra frowned. "Touching it shouldn't do anything. It's just metal and circuits." "Not entirely," Elias said, his eyes scanning the console. "Look at this. These panels, they seem to read intent. The ship reacts to our actions. It's alive in a way we don't fully understand." Inside the bridge, everything was vast and strange. The main control panel spanned an entire wall, covered in symbols that shifted as if they were alive. The chairs were molded to fit something far larger than humans. Lights pulsed rhythmically, and faint holographic projections appeared and disappeared across the room. Jerk stepped forward holding a scanning device. "The energy here, it's incredible. These systems are dormant, but they're not dead. This ship isn't broken. She's waiting, just waiting for someone to wake her." Elias nodded. "Then we'll wake her, carefully but completely." For days, the team worked to understand the ship. Every console revealed new puzzles. Alien languages ran across screens, wires hummed with power, and systems interlocked in ways no human had ever seen. Sometimes, when they touched certain panels, the ship would emit low vibrations, almost like it was testing them. One day, while Myra was repairing a damaged coolant conduit, the ship shifted slightly. A panel in front of her slid open, revealing a hidden compartment filled with strange devices. "Look at this," she called. Elias and Jerk rushed over. Inside were what looked like alien tools, but their design was far beyond anything humans had encountered. Each one pulsed with energy and seemed to react to their presence. Elias picked up one device. It emitted a faint blue glow when he touched it. "She's offering us help," he whispered. "Or warning us," Myra replied, eyeing the device nervously. Elias shook his head. "No. She knows we're not threats. She knows we can understand her." As they explored further, the crew discovered more hidden systems. Dormant weapon arrays lined the outer hull, waiting for activation. Defensive shields were tucked beneath the surface, capable of withstanding far more damage than any human cruiser. Even the engines, though cold, held power levels that could rival the fastest ships in the galaxy. But the most remarkable discovery was in the engineering section. Here the ship's core pulsed faintly like a heart. Elias approached it with reverence. The core was surrounded by alien machinery, interlocking gears and tubes that seemed almost organic. This is amazing," he murmured. "It's not just a ship, she's a living system. Everything here adapts, repairs, and responds, and we can work with it." Lena knelt beside him, scanning structural weaknesses. "If we can integrate human engineering with her systems, we could enhance her beyond her original design. Faster engines, stronger shields, she could be more than the aliens ever intended." Elias smiled. "Exactly. This is where humans shine. We see potential where others see failure." The work was slow and careful. Every adjustment required precision. A wrong move could overload the core or damage a delicate system. But with each successful repair, the ship seemed to respond. Panels glowed brighter, holographic displays stabilized, and the hum of power grew stronger. One evening, after weeks of work, Elias stood on the bridge and looked around. The crew was exhausted, but the ship was beginning to awaken. Lights pulsed rhythmically, and a faint sound, almost like music, echoed through the corridors. "She's alive," Elias said softly. "She's really alive." Suddenly, the ship's main screen flickered. Symbols shifted into a pattern that none of them had seen before. Then words appeared, not in any language they recognized, but in a pattern that felt almost familiar. Elias reached out. "I think she's trying to communicate." Jerk frowned. "Communicate with us? How?" Elias shook his head. "Not with words, with understanding. She knows we're humans. She knows we can think, adapt, and learn. She's testing us." Over the next days, the crew began to notice subtle changes. The ship would adjust environmental controls automatically, anticipate their actions, and even guide them to hidden panels they hadn't discovered yet. It was as if the cruiser had a mind of its own, and it trusted them. But not everything was easy. Some systems resisted, doors refused to open, and certain consoles emitted warnings when touched. The ship's AI, if it could be called that, was cautious. It had survived centuries of abandonment and countless threats. Trust had to be earned. Elias understood that. He worked slowly, showing patience and respect for the alien technology. Myra and the others followed his lead, treating the ship not as a tool but as a partner. And slowly, the cruiser began to respond in kind. One morning, as Elias monitored the ship systems, the main engines flickered to life. Just a faint spark, a whisper of energy, but it was enough to make the crew cheer. "We did it!" Myra shouted, her voice echoing in the vast corridors. Elias smiled but remained calm. "Not yet. This is just the beginning. She's awake, yes, but she's still learning us and we're still learning her." Later, while exploring the ship's cargo bay, Elias discovered another secret. Hidden beneath layers of storage compartments were alien crates filled with materials unknown to humans. Metals that were almost liquid in their flexibility, energy cells that seemed to recharge themselves, and strange devices that could manipulate gravity. "This ship, she's a treasure trove," Elias said, awestruck. "Everything we need to improve her is already here. We just have to understand it." Myra shook her head. "And the aliens abandoned all of this, just left it to rot." "They underestimated humans," Elias replied, eyes gleaming. "They always do. That's our advantage. They leave the impossible for us, and we make it possible." Days turned into weeks, and the crew continued their work. Each repair, each discovery, brought the cruiser closer to life. The systems that had been dead for centuries now hummed with energy. Shields flickered to life, engines glowed faintly, and weapons arrays aligned themselves automatically. Elias began to feel a strange connection with the ship. It was no longer just metal and circuits. It had personality, awareness, even a sense of humor. Panels would flicker when he made a joke, engines would hum rhythmically when the crew moved through corridors, and the ship seemed to guide them toward the next system needing repair. One evening, as the crew rested, Elias stood on the bridge alone. He looked out at the stars and felt a sense of awe. "You've been abandoned," he whispered to the ship. "But humans, we don't give up. We see potential, we see the future, and together we'll show the galaxy what you can become." The cruiser responded with a low hum, vibrating through the floor beneath him. It was faint, almost like a purr. Elias smiled. "She understands. As Part 2 closes, the ship is no longer just a wreck. It is alive, responding to human ingenuity, and the mysteries inside it hint at power beyond anything the galaxy has seen. But danger is not far away. Aliens who abandoned the cruiser may yet return, curious about why it is moving again." HFY beat. Humans are proving that intelligence, patience, and creativity can awaken even the deadliest alien technology. The cruiser was no longer just a broken relic. Its systems hummed with energy, its engines glowed faintly, and panels flickered with life as if acknowledging the presence of its human crew. Elias Kane stood on the bridge, staring at the glowing console before him. Every meter of the ship had been scanned, repaired, and enhanced. The work had been long, careful, and sometimes frustrating, but now the cruiser was ready for its first real test. "We're ready," Elias said to his crew. Myra, Lena, and Jerk stood nearby, their faces a mixture of exhaustion and excitement. "Today, we see if all our work was worth it." Myra adjusted a panel. "The engines are stable, shields are online, weapons arrays are powered at 50%. If the ship responds as it did during repairs, she should be fine." "Should be?" Elias raised an eyebrow. "I don't do should be. We're about to find out if she trusts us enough to fly." The crew moved to their positions. The Starforge had been docked alongside the cruiser for weeks, But now they would leave the station for the first time. Docking clamps released with a hiss, and the massive ship slowly moved forward. The human crew felt the vibrations under their feet, subtle yet alive, as if the cruiser itself was testing the new life coursing through her systems. "Engage engines," Elias commanded. The engines responded with a low roar, vibrations traveling through the corridors. Lights pulsed rhythmically, almost like a heartbeat. The ship lifted off the station smoothly, larger and more powerful than any human vessel had a right to be. Jerk grinned. "She's alive. She's really alive." "Alive, yes," Elias said, eyes scanning the readouts. "But she's more than that. She's learning us, responding to our thoughts, our movements. That's the part no alien ever understood." The first test flight was simple, a series of maneuvers around the asteroid belt to assess agility, engine response, and shields. But as they approached the first obstacle, the cruiser surprised them. A floating asteroid, larger than most, blocked their path. Myra prepared the weapons array to blast it apart, but the ship reacted before she could fire. Panels shifted, shields flared, and thrusters fired automatically, pushing the cruiser around the asteroid with a precision no human could match. The crew exchanged stunned glances. "She did that herself," Lena whispered. "She knew the obstacle and avoided it." Elias smiled. "Exactly. Humans enhance machines, yes, but sometimes machines enhance humans too. She's learning us, adapting with us." After clearing the asteroid belt, Elias decided to test the weapons. He activated a dormant alien drone, a small automated vessel from the station's storage bay. It zipped toward them as a target. The cruiser's weapon systems powered up automatically, targeting the drone with incredible precision. Before the crew could react, beams of energy struck the drone, dismantling it without a trace. "Perfect," Elias said. "She doesn't just defend, she understands combat strategy." As the ship continued its maneuvers, the hum of energy grew louder. Every panel, every console, every system seemed connected to the minds of its human crew. The cruiser wasn't just responding, it was anticipating. It knew their intentions before they acted, moving as if it were a single organism with a shared consciousness. But the test flight was not just about agility or weapons. Elias wanted to see if the cruiser could survive in combat scenarios. He set the course toward a nearby asteroid field known for dangerous debris storms. The Starforge followed, small and fragile in comparison. "Brace yourselves," Elias warned. The cruiser entered the debris field, engines flaring as it maneuvered through jagged rocks and magnetic anomalies. Shields pulsed, absorbing impacts and deflecting smaller debris automatically. Myra monitored the systems, awe on her face. "I've never seen anything like this," she said. "She's stronger than any ship I've ever worked on." Suddenly, the communications panel flickered. A message appeared, originating from the Xylar warlord fleet, the same alien species that had abandoned the cruiser centuries ago. Their voice was cold, mechanical, but full of authority. "Humans," the message said, "you have taken what does not belong to you. Return the cruiser immediately or face annihilation." Elias narrowed his eyes. "So they noticed, that was fast." Myra frowned. "Elias, they're serious. Those fleets are not small if they attack." "We'll be ready," Elias interrupted calmly. "They abandoned her. They left her for dead. They thought humans could never revive her. They were wrong." The cruiser seemed to respond to his determination. Lights flared brighter, shields strengthened, and the hum of energy became almost musical. It was as if the ship itself understood the threat and prepared for the challenge. Jerk's fingers flew over the console. "They're sending ships to intercept." 3 war vessels armed and ready. Elias didn't flinch. "Let them come. We're about to show them what humans can do." The first alien vessel appeared on the sensors, sleek and deadly. It fired a warning shot, a beam of energy that would have obliterated a normal ship. The cruiser reacted instantly. Shields flared, engines adjusted, and the shot missed by mere meters. The crew cheered silently, holding their breath as the second and third vessels appeared. Elias gripped the console. Focus on defense first. Let her guide us. Trust her. The cruiser's weapon systems activated automatically. Beams of energy cut through space with precision, disabling one alien vessel's shields within moments. The second vessel tried to flank them, but the cruiser anticipated the move, firing preemptively and forcing it to retreat. Myra watched in disbelief. She's fighting on her own. Yes, Elias said, voice filled with awe, but we are guiding her. Humans lead, she follows, and together we dominate. The battle continued for hours, but the human crew's coordination with the ship was perfect. Each move was anticipated, each attack countered, and each obstacle neutralized. The alien warlords were stunned. Their advanced fleets, superior in technology and numbers, could not outmatch a human crew bonded with a ship that had been written off as scrap. Finally, the last alien vessel disengaged. The Xylar warlord's message came again, this time trembling with hesitation. You humans, how did you awaken her? She was ours, and you are stronger than we imagined. Elias leaned back, a satisfied smile on his face. Stronger? No, smarter, that's the difference. Humans don't just fight, we think, we adapt, and we never give up. The cruiser hummed almost as if it approved. Lights pulsed rhythmically, engines idling smoothly. It had survived its first real test. Not just survived, but dominated. Lena shook her head, still amazed. We did it. We really did it. Yes, Elias said quietly, staring at the stars ahead. But this is only the beginning. The galaxy will learn soon enough that humans don't just repair. We transform. We improve. And anything abandoned, anything thought useless, can become legendary in our hands. As the Starforge returned to the human spaceyard with the cruiser in tow, the crew knew one thing. They had awakened something extraordinary. A ship abandoned for centuries now held the promise of a new era. And humans, underestimated by every species in the galaxy, were at the center of it. The test had proven it. Humans, with ingenuity, courage, and persistence, could take the impossible and make it reality. And the galaxy, for the first time, would see humans not as weak newcomers, but as a force to be reckoned with. The cruiser floated in the human spaceyard like a queen awakened from centuries of slumber. Its hull glowed softly, engines ready, and panels pulsing in rhythm with the humans who had brought it back to life. Elias Kane stood on the bridge, staring at the ship as if it were a living being. After weeks of preparation, repairs, and testing, the cruiser was more than operational, it was extraordinary. Myra adjusted the console before her, scanning systems that humans had never seen before. Elias, she's stable. All systems green. Weapons, shields, engines, everything exceeds their original capacity. And the best part, she's still learning. Elias nodded, a faint smile on his face. That's the magic. She wasn't meant for humans, but she adapted to us. That's what humans do best. We take what others discard and turn it into something beyond imagination. Lena, leaning against the railing, shook her head in disbelief. I can't believe it. We've taken an abandoned, broken ship and made it legendary. Do you realize what this means? The galaxy will never see humans the same way again. Elia's eyes gleamed with determination. They'll learn soon enough, but first, we need to show them why humans are not to be underestimated. The warning from the Xylar warlord fleet had not gone away. They were still nearby, observing from a distance, unsure whether humans were capable of handling the cruiser. Elias knew it was only a matter of time before they tried another attack, or worse, rallied the rest of their forces. Prepare for engagement drills, Elias commanded. I want to test her limits. If the Xylar fleet attacks again, we need to be faster, stronger, and smarter than they can imagine. The cruiser responded instantly. Lights flared across the bridge, engines hummed, and defensive shields strengthened. It was as if the ship understood the gravity of the moment, readying itself for the inevitable confrontation. Elias guided the cruiser out of the space yard and into open space. Stars streaked past as the ship accelerated, moving effortlessly despite its massive size. The hum of the engines vibrated through the corridors, almost musical in its rhythm. The crew moved seamlessly with the ship, a team perfectly synchronized with a living vessel. Suddenly, the sensors picked up movement. Alien warships, dozens of them, emerged from the nearby star systems, their weapons powered and aimed at the humans. The Xylar warlords had returned in full force, determined to reclaim what they thought was theirs. Elia's gaze hardened. All stations lock in positions. Weapons ready, shields up. This is the moment we prove what humans are capable of. Myra's fingers flew across the controls. Engaging adaptive shields, weapon arrays calibrated, cruiser responding faster than any simulation predicts. Jerk grinned. They won't know what hit them. The first wave of alien ships advanced, firing energy beams designed to overwhelm any single cruiser. The human-enhanced ship moved with astonishing precision. Shields flared, absorbing the shots, while engines adjusted automatically, dodging with speed no alien captain expected. Elias shouted, "Fire at will, target weak points only, let her guide us." The cruiser responded instantly. Beams of energy struck the alien ships with pinpoint accuracy, disabling engines and weapons arrays without destroying life support. Elias wanted to prove humans could dominate without unnecessary destruction. The Xylar warlords were stunned. Their most advanced fleets were being outmaneuvered and neutralized by a single human crew aboard an abandoned ship. Myra leaned forward, eyes wide. She's anticipating their moves. How is that possible? Elias smiled. Humans don't just react. We think, we plan, we improvise. And this ship, she's learning how we think. That's why we're winning. The battle raged on for hours. Every maneuver by the aliens was countered by the human crew and their living cruiser. Shields pulsed, engines fired, and weapons struck with unmatched precision. The aliens realized their biggest mistake, underestimating humans. The abandoned cruiser, once thought worthless, had become the galaxy's most formidable weapon, not just because of its alien technology but because of the humans who had awakened it. Lena watched in awe. We've done it. This ship, it's more than legendary. It's perfect. Elias nodded. Perfect isn't the goal. Adaptability is. That's what humans bring to the galaxy. We take what others leave behind and turn it into something they can't even imagine. As the battle reached its climax, the cruiser executed a move no alien ship could predict. It soared above the enemy formation, weapons firing in synchronization with human-controlled maneuvers. Shields flared, deflecting multiple attacks simultaneously, and engines propelled the cruiser with speeds no human ship had ever reached. One by one, the alien vessels were forced to retreat, unable to match the combination of human ingenuity and alien technology. Finally, the Xylar command ship sent a message. The transmission crackled across the sensors. "You, humans, you are not to be underestimated. The cruiser we cannot reclaim. You have shown power and intelligence beyond expectation. We concede for now." Elias leaned back, exhaustion and pride washing over him. "They learned the hard way," he said quietly. "Humans don't back down, we don't just survive. We transform the impossible into reality." The cruiser hummed beneath him, responding as if it understood every word. The lights on the panels pulsed softly, a gentle acknowledgement. Elias could feel it. This ship was more than metal and circuits. It was a partner, a reflection of human determination, courage, and creativity. Myra let out a relieved laugh. "We actually did it. We defended ourselves and proved that humans can turn an abandoned relic into a legend." "Yes," Elias said, gazing out at the stars. "And this is only the beginning. The galaxy will remember this day. They will remember that humans are not just survivors. We are innovators. We are creators. We are unstoppable when we refuse to give up." The crew spent the next few days enhancing the cruiser further. Every system was fine-tuned, every weapon array optimized, and every defensive protocol improved. The ship, once forgotten, now carried the unmistakable mark of humanity. Its name, long erased from records, would soon become legendary across the stars. News of the cruiser's revival spread quickly. Reports reached distant systems. A human crew had taken an abandoned alien ship and transformed it into the most powerful vessel in known space. Aliens and humans alike marveled at the achievement. Skepticism turned to awe and fear turned to respect. The galaxy had learned a lesson it would not soon forget. Elias walked through the ship's corridors one evening alone. The hum of the engines filled the space around him, a comforting sound. Panels flickered gently as if greeting him. He paused at the core chamber, where the heart of the cruiser pulsed with life. "We did it," he whispered. "Together, humans and machine, we've created something extraordinary." For a long moment, he simply stood there, feeling the weight of the accomplishment. The cruiser was no longer abandoned. It was legendary, and humanity, once underestimated, had claimed its place among the greatest forces in the galaxy. Finally, Elias returned to the bridge where Myra, Lena, and Jerk waited. The stars outside stretched endlessly, full of possibilities and challenges yet to come. Elias placed his hand on the console, feeling the pulse beneath the metal. "This is our ship," he said. "Abandoned by the aliens, reborn by humans, and from now on, anyone who doubts humanity will learn the hard way." The cruiser hummed in response, its lights pulsing brighter than ever. It had become more than a ship. It was a symbol, a legend, and a testament to human ingenuity, courage, and determination. As the Starforge followed behind, the legendary cruiser took its first steps into the galaxy, fully awakened and unstoppable. And humans, for the first time in galactic history, were seen not as mere newcomers, but as masters of transformation, capable of turning even the most forgotten relics into wonders that no alien could match. The stars stretched ahead, full of challenges, mysteries, and adventures yet to come. But one truth remained clear. Humanity had risen, and the galaxy would never forget the name of the human crew who revived the abandoned cruiser into legendary status. Elias Kane smiled, the stars reflected in his eyes. "We're just getting started."